The Cardboard Knight by Hannah Fell. Once upon a very flat, steady, square-edged place, there was a man who was always right. He was so very right that all he wanted was to be even more right than he already was. Every day he did all he could to be even more right than the day before, until one day he was as right as it is possible to be. So the next day he fell off the edge and tumbled down, 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 till he bounced. Boing, 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 not splat, because luckily, though he didn't think so, he had tumbled into the land of play. Instead of being right, he was spinning, bouncing, twirling, and flip-flap-flopping. When at last he managed to stop, he was completely upside down. The children in Playland giggled and chuckled and clapped and shouted, "Again, again, do it again!" But the man didn't want to do it again. He was frightened. You know how it is when something happens that you didn't expect. Even quite wonderful things can be scary if you're not used to them. The man who was used to being right now felt left, bereft, lost and uncertain. Like anyone who feels lost and uncertain, he started longing for home. He looked around at Playland. He looked at the toys and games and storybooks. He looked at the children, the flowers, and the sprites who danced between them. He looked at the Smurgles and the Figs. "This place is a mess," he cried. "I must have come here for a reason. I'll put this place to rights, and then I'll feel right at home." "Stop!" cried the children as he bundled up the storybooks. "Please no!" they shouted as he boxed the toys away. "Let us play," they begged as he caged the Figs and Smurgles. "Figs and Smurgles don't exist," he said, "and we can't afford distractions." As the man pulled the pictures and counters and dice from all the board games, the sprites quietly slipped away, taking the flowers with them. The man tossed away all of the puzzles. All he left behind were the bare boards and boxes. He liked things that were flat and square-edged. "Now I'll help you children learn to be right," he said. "We will start at the very beginning. What is 1 plus 1? "1!" the children shouted. "That is not right," said the man. "The answer is 2. The children took a mud ball, squished it together with another mud ball, and showed him the extra big mud ball. 1, they said. The man scratched his head in exasperation. Something simpler," he said. "What is 1 plus 0? The children took one seed, dug a nice little round 0 hole, and planted the seed. A bush sprang up with 20 bright flowers. 20, said the children. The man grunted in annoyance. "We will have to start with something even simpler. Let's sort apples. Red apples over here, put the green ones over here." The children bit into the apples and showed him that all of them were white on the inside. Then the man got angry because he was too scared to feel even more frightened than he already was. He stamped his foot. Then he locked all the children up in a big square-edged prison. "I won't let you out till you've learned to be right." The children desperately wanted to come out and play. They tried very hard to learn the answers, but the more they learned, the more lessons the man gave. "What can we do?" the children asked each other. "He will keep us here till we're like him. He won't let us out until we're grown up." That night the children slept, exhausted and miserable. The sprites crept in, scattering flowers to cheer them up. The children woke, laughed and danced with happiness to see their bright, warm friends. They shared their dreams and filled the sprites up with wishes and silliness. The sprites gathered up all the children gave them. They gathered up all of the day's unused let's pretend. The sprites danced back to the pile of boards and boxes. They danced a dance of longing and delight. And from the boxes and boards something grew. A cardboard knight. He had cardboard armor, a cardboard sword, a cardboard shield, and a heart that was brave and true. No more flat, no more square. The cardboard knight stood tall and strong, and slightly wobbly. He tottered up to the bundled books. He raised his sword and cut the bonds. Books slipped and tumbled back into the land of play. He took his cardboard sword and hacked up the box that held the toys and games. He chopped open the lock on the cage that held the Smurgles and the Feegs. Then, at last, with a mighty swing of his sword, he smashed the prison that held the children. Happily, the children streamed free into the land of play. They did not shout and laugh, though. No, they crept happily, but quietly, tippy-toes whisper. The man who liked to be right was fast asleep, and they feared to wake him. "He is so big, he is so angry and so strong, he is so very right," they said. "When he wakes he will cage us again, and we won't be able to stop him." Then the cardboard knight knew in his brave, strong heart what he must do. He was sad, for the land of play had given him form, and he longed to stay and explore. Slowly, quietly, he folded himself out till he was flat and steady and square-edged. No longer a knight at all, just a cardboard board. He slid gently beneath the sleeping man and floated him up, up and far, far away, to a place where he could never reach the land of play again. When the man woke and looked about, he saw the flat, steady, square edges around him. At first he thought he was glad. Then he became sad. He missed the children. A silent voice, like a thought in his mind, drifted up from the flat board around him. "I could take you there, if you're ready to let go of being right." The man thought. And then, more importantly, the man felt. His thoughts said that he must always be right. His feelings said that he was ready to explore something new. As he felt, so the cardboard drifted closer and closer all the way to the land of play. Gently the board settled down, and the man looked around. The children watched, wary. Then the man smiled, lay down, and rolled his way off the straight, square-edged board right into the flowery wild grass. Shouting with delight, the children rolled too, giggling and squirming and clambering all over him. Behind them, the flat board folded itself back into the shape of a knight. A happy knight, happily home at last, ready to play. The beginning.